Hey, what's going on, friends? Logan Myers here from Cinephellas.com and checking in with you with the season finale of The Walking Dead. Whoosh-ah! Yes, you know what I'm talking about. That big badass motherfucker Negan finally showed up. I want to say that I've been a huge fan of the comics. I read 90% of them, and I've been slowly anticipating and waiting for his arrival on the show. You know, the buzz around the internet, everybody's been waiting for this villain to show up, and you know, he's probably my top 10 villains from you know, the comics, from any comic really, because he's that badass. He has that charisma, and he's just demented and fucked up, and he loves to kill. And why wouldn't you not love that, you know? A character that brings that much to the table. And not to mention his lovely sidekick Lucille, you know, the baseball bat with the barbed wire on it. You know, she's the best part about Negan, really, because she gets to crack some skulls. And so basically, I'm not a huge fan of The Walking Dead TV show. I like the first season a lot. The other ones, you know, following that were not that good. A lot of soap opera bullshit and lack thereof of anything else going on. Some zombies walking around in the background. But I will say season 5 and then season 6, the newest season, have been pretty fucking awesome. It's a lot darker. They kind of steered away from the soap opera drama bullshit and actually got to the point of having more character development with their backstories and, you know, fighting the zombies, fighting the walkers. You know, it's the apocalypse. It's all these different communities of humans that are left over, and you know, the zombies that are surrounding them and trying to fend them off and fight for their lives. But the last season really was more, this newest season, season 6, has been more human versus human, it's felt like. You don't get as much zombie killing as we did in the previous seasons, which is fine with me. You know, it's introduced many groups, you know, Negan's crew, the Saviors, and the Wolves earlier in season 6. And they've all been pretty solid and pretty badass, and they've taken on Rick and his crew, which has been a lot of bloodshed, a lot of violence, and you know, it's really brought me in more to the show because I'm just a comic book snob, and I'm like one of those fanboys who's like, well, it's not like the comics, like millions of other people. But that's the thing with the Walking Dead TV show. They don't follow the comic. They do what the fuck they want to do, and sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. You know, it just all depends on the producer and the writers and how they want to do it. And they throw curveballs in there for the comic book fans like myself to be like, hey, what the hell is this? This is not how it's in the comic. But anyways, this season's been great. We've slowly been waiting for Negan to show up. We've had, you know, little glimpses of his crew in the past 6 episodes. You know, Daryl blew up a bunch of them. Just different episodes where we actually see them, but we don't see Negan. We see his savior crew. Most of them died in that one episode where Rick and Michonne and everybody just showed up and fucking killed a lot of them. And obviously that's going to open Negan's eyes. Like, who the hell is this guy? Who's Rick? Who are these people that are killing off my men? You know, he's the head honcho. Whatever he says goes. And, you know, Rick is like, fuck that. We're going to go in, guns a-blazing, and we're going to take out this guy. And they thought, you know, we got Negan. We beat him. We killed him. But no, that's not the case. So if you've been watching the season and you're all caught up, you know, this episode that premiered last night, the finale, we're like, when the hell's Negan going to show up? Is it going to be in the last 10 minutes? Is it going to be early on in the episode? And if you watch it, you obviously know that he shows up in the last, 15, 20 minutes. And it was definitely a legendary introduction to a villain for TV, especially. Like, I thought Jeffrey Dean Morgan is perfect as Negan in every way. He has that charisma. He has that comedic sense to him, but he's also overbearing. Like, holy shit, this guy is something, and he's going to fuck some people up if they don't listen to him, and obviously that was the case. So last night's episode, they kind of dragged it out for a little bit, and obviously Rick and his people got kind of pushed in their way because all the saviors are blocking the roads. So when Rick and his people are captured, they also notice that, hey, there's Daryl and Glenn and Michonne. They were captured too. They're in the back of the truck or whatever. And they're brought out and everybody's put down on their knees and for their great introduction to Negan. You know, like if you follow the comics, you know, like get on your knees and does the whole eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and then, you know, basically bashes your brains in. So that was really cool. Like the whole build up, it was making me super anxious. I'm like, what the fuck's going to happen? Who's going to die? Is it going to be Daryl? Is it going to be Glenn like the comic? Who's it going to be? But in typical Walking Dead AMC fashion, you know, they're always going to leave it a cliffhanger. I mean, how many times have they fucking done this in the show? Too many. And like everybody around the internet today is like, oh my God, it was the worst episode I've ever seen. Negan wasn't that impressive. You don't know what happens. What else is new? This is what they fucking do. This is how they make their money. They're going to leave it at a cliffhanger so you keep coming back for more to start the new story. I'm like, they're not going to show what's going to happen. I don't understand people, but I figured that's what was going to happen. And, you know, in the whole sequence at the end, and the whole dialogue with Negan and the introduction to him and Rick's group, it was super tense. Like, you could see how scared Rick was, like his eyes, and he was just like sweating and like shaky, and everybody else is bawling and crying. They're like, who's going to die? Is it going to be me, or is it going to be the person next to me? You know, and Negan just comes out, and he has this aura, this presence about him that you better listen up because I'm about to change your fucking world. And he really does. I thought it was a great introduction to the character into the TV show. I thought it was spot on from the comics. Jeffrey Dean Morgan played it perfectly. I can't wait to see him in the upcoming season and see what he can do with the character that I love so much. And then obviously at the end of the episode, he actually brings down Lucille the Bat, and you don't see who actually dies. You just see it from the perspective of the person on the ground. My guess is Daryl. A lot of people think it's Glenn, but I think it's Daryl. I think his time's up. His story has kind of reached its max. There's not much more they could do with the character. Even though everybody loves him, I think I love him too. He's a great actor, and character in the show had just kind of dried out by now, and time to kill him off and start something else. So overall, I love The Walking Dead. This episode especially because I've been waiting for it for so long from reading the books, and I'm glad they finally brought him in to the very end of season 6. I can't see where they go from here. Obviously, next season's season 7, episode 1, we'll find out who dies. Everybody has their theories and who's going to die and how it's going to go, but nobody fucking knows except the writers and the producers at AMC of The Walking Dead. So, great introduction to the villain, Negan, and his group of saviors, which are not really saviors. They're more about just fucking killing everybody if you don't listen to them. So, I was really excited about it. I thought it was a great episode. Maybe dragged out a little longer, but I'm glad we got to finally see Negan and see what he's capable of. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, you played it perfectly, bud. Good job on that. I'm looking forward to the future seasons of the show, The Walking Dead, and see what happens. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I spoiled it a little bit, but it's everywhere over the internet. So go check it out, give it a chance, and get introduced to the one and only Negan. Whoosh!